We'll do that. Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm Gracie, and I'm here with Mr. Bolerjack, who is the Sportscaster of the Year in Utah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Gracie. I appreciate it. Some
So let's
great
go.
talent out here in the West, and it's an honor. It really is.
So let's go ahead and get started. How did you get interested in the industry?
Well, how much time do we have? I think everybody's got a great story, and you're going to build one yourself as you continue this process. But I was a recruited college football player, injured, then walked on at Kansas State University and got another knee. And then I said, what am I going to do with my life? Because, when you're 18, 19, 20, and you're going through this yourself, there's so many things coming at you, like, goals that you set. If those goals aren't met, so what's the next goal? And my brother played a big part of this. My brother was a senior. I was a freshman. And I thought maybe I should just go home, and give it up. And he got a hold of me by the collar and said, "No, you're not doing that. We're going to find what you can do and what you like and what you're passionate about." So I changed my major a couple of times. I started off in biology. I love science. I still do. I went into, I thought I could coach and teach, which I still have interest in doing that, even at my age. And then I finally found my way into broadcast journalism. Kansas State luckily had a school of broadcast journalism, and I was told by one of my brother's friends, go take a course, see what you think. Take an elective. So I did, and bang, it's what I wanted to do. It kept me close to what I love. Obviously, sports. I ran track. I played baseball. Obviously, football, and this gave me an opportunity to really learn the insides of what broadcast journalism is and should be. And I dove in head first, Gracie. I'm telling you, I took it on as a job. The classes were great, but at K State, it was very much hands on. So after my junior year, I basically was doing radio reports every day. I did high school basketball, football, play by play for a local high school called Lucky High. And I did those games on Friday nights where everybody else was out having cold beer, and I was up calling games on top of a snack shack or on a crow's nest, swaying in the wind. But I wouldn't trade that for anything because it gave me the background that I needed. And that's why I'm in the position I am today. I really believe those days at K State, they were hard. It tested your grit. I think it showed me that I wanted to do this. This wasn't forced upon me. I had a passion and I love to write. I found that out. I love to interview. I love to get to know people. I love to tell stories. And I think K State was a great place for me because it gave me that opportunity to do all those things. Um, and so after fighting through injury and disappointment, I found a new avenue and I took advantage of every moment that I possibly could. And even disc jockeyed from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Think about that on the campus school radio station. So I was spinning discs back in the day, but I got a taste for everything. And I think that's the main thing. I got to work behind the scenes, producing, directing, understanding, the nuances of audio and how to blend and telling stories and writing. I love to write. I did all, when I was in before I did play by play, I did nearly 20 years of local news. So wrote my own scripts, did all my own editing, and I loved it. I like to bring the story to life. And that's the beauty of, I think, what our business is. And you're learning this, Gracie. I mean, you can take something and bring it to life, whether that's an interview on television or on radio, the way you edit it, the way you blend sound. Those are fun. And I still enjoy it to this day. I really do.
That's nice to hear that you got started back at K State because at UNC Chapel Hill, where I'm at, I work with the football program and I'm like putting my foot in the door in every step that I can. So that's
Good,
nice to hear.
good.
Can you take us through your path from your first job to where you are now? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit in the last question.
Sure. You know, Gracie, I didn't know what I was going to do, honestly. You get a degree and you think, wow, okay, now what? Well, my professors, and I hope yours will as well, they helped me kind of build a road, an avenue of things I wanted to do. And I'm going to guess the last semester of my senior year, I actually went 5 years. I had to make up for time when I was down with football. So I was a 5 year guy. And I got a call one day from one of my professors and said, hey, I just heard there is an audition in Topeka, Kansas, not far from Manhattan, for a weekend sports anchor at the NBC affiliate. And I want you to go apply and audition. So I did. And I thought, wow, this will be interesting. It'll be a great experience. And it was. I was the last of 8 to audition that day. I got an hour to prepare my script and then went in for 3 minutes on camera. And luckily, I had teleprompter practice in college, so I was able to read off the teleprompter and all my own words. So I was comfortable there. But you just don't know what's going to happen. Who was before me? But I'm the last guy. So I do my show, and one of the camera operators pulled me over to the side and said, "Hey, you're going to win this. You know, you killed it. You did a great job." And I thought, "Oh, come on. This is a rookie, man. I'm a rookie, barely doing this." But 10 minutes later, they pulled me into the office and they offered me the job. And I started doing on the 4th of July. I remember this like it was yesterday. 4th of July, 1981. That tells you how old I am. I'm 67, just turned 67. I was 23 at the time, or 22. And I got my first job, and my first broadcast was July 4th. John McEnroe was the headline on my script, and I still have it. John McEnroe celebrates freedom with Wimbledon. He won Wimbledon and I thought, wow, I'm actually doing what I love to do. And did I make mistakes? Plenty. You'll make mistakes, but you know what? You get back up, and as my dad always said, just keep plowing the field. Do your thing, get her done, and that's what I tried to do. I learned from those mistakes. I watched diligently those early days of broadcast. How I presented it on air, and then a year later, I got a chance to go to our sister station in Wichita, Kansas. I was there for 3 years doing weekends and filling in at the 6 and 10. And then strangely, one night I got a phone call from a gentleman out in Salt Lake City who I never thought he'd come to Salt Lake. Are you kidding? I'm a Kansas guy. Born in Missouri, raised in Kansas. And a guy goes, hey, I just drove through Wichita tonight. I'm covering the National Junior College Basketball Championships in Hutchinson, Kansas. And one of our small schools out here in Salt Lake are playing. I liked your sportscast tonight. We want you to come out and audition because we're expanding our broadcast. I thought, wow, Salt Lake. Okay, I'll give it a shot. Let's go out just for the experience and see what happens. Little did I know, and that Jim Nance, who's a CBS icon, was there along with a longtime play-by-play radio play-by-play announcer for Brigham Young University, Paul James, and they wanted me to be the third guy. And so I auditioned, and I had only had like barely 3 years of experience. And I remember the news director said, "You know what, man? I don't hire anybody that doesn't have 5 years in this business, but I'm going to make an exception, and you're going to have to really carry the load here, young man. I'm taking a chance. Don't let me down." I thought, oh, criminy. So I made a move, Gracie, a big one. I didn't think I'd ever leave the state, but I packed my car, drove to Salt Lake, and I thought I'd be here for a year and then go back to Kansas City. That was 1985, and here it is 40 years later. But so many things happened in between. I was at KSL for 13 years. Jim Nance and I stayed good friends, still are. There was an opening for NFL and college football and basketball at CBS, and they called me up and said, "We saw your game." I was freelancing at ESPN at the time, doing Big Monday basketball in the West when ESPN had expanded and they were doing a late game at midnight Eastern, 10 o'clock Mountain Time. So I did a lot of those games with UNLV, Utah State, USC, UCLA, all those teams in the West. So I did that for like 7 years as I still worked at KSL as a you know nightly sportscaster. CBS said, "Hey, we want to have you come out to New York," but at that time, Gracie's University of Utah basketball was in the Final Four against Kentucky in San Antonio. And they said, "Why don't we meet you there? Because that's where we'll be." So I have an agent now. And I said, "Okay, I'll meet you in San Antonio." And we met, and they hired me in San Antonio to do college football in the SEC, NFL football, and college basketball. And I did some downhill World Cup skiing, women's gymnastics. I mean, they gave me a lot of things to grow on and do a lot of things. And that was beautiful 13 years. I wouldn't trade a minute. And then Fox recruited me to come aboard, and I did 5 years there. So I've had 25 years at the national level. And then to make a long story short, in between all that, I'm still working CBS and Fox. The Jazz come to me, and one of our great broadcasters, the only broadcaster the Jazz have ever had, Hot Rod Hundley, who's from West Virginia and played there and was an All-American basketball player with the Mountaineers. He had retired, and they came to me and said, "Hey, we want you to do the Jazz on top of what you're doing with CBS and then later on with Fox." So I said, "Okay, I'm going to jump into the NBA as well." And 20 years later, here I am. I just finished my 20th season with the Jazz. I had to back off my schedule. I was doing like 125 games a year, and I just could not keep up the pace with flights and trying to coordinate my schedule. But I still do about 90 plus games a year. And sometimes ESPN or Fox will call me and I'll do a fill in game just because they know I will and I can and I want to. So here I am today talking to you. That's the story. Crazy.
Wow, it is. Um, what advice do you have for people like me who want to get into the industry?
Let me ask you a question. How much do you love what you're doing right now?
I love it a lot.
You love it?
I love it. Like it's what I want to do. I've grown up in a sports household. I want to work for ESPN. I want to be a sports broadcaster for ACC, SEC, Big 12, anything.
Good. It's a good answer because that's really the answer. You just answered it. You have to have a passion. Look, I've run across hundreds of different broadcasters, male and female, who are enamored with the fact that, hey, I'm on TV. I'm on TV. That's cool, huh? But in reality, that only lasts a certain time. You have to have a passion and a work ethic that is above and beyond to separate yourself to the next level. You said ESPN. You said you want to cover SEC, ACC. Sure, ESPN. The competition's keen. The business has changed a lot. I know you're getting digital, probably a high level education on the digital side. Kansas State's trying to expand their digital coverage as well because the business is ever changing on how viewers are consuming the product, right? So I think it's important that you dive into that. I think you've got to be a great writer. I think you got to focus on that. I mean, you may already be, but to answer your question, I think writing again is above and beyond. And then on air, your presence on air and how comfortable you are in front of the lens and how you project yourself in a methodical, concise, well thought out way of just verbalizing what you want to say. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yes, sir.
I listen to a ton of sports. I've been watching the NBA playoffs like crazy. And I can tell by ear who's comfortable, who's not, who can ad lib their way out of a sack and do well. That's the key. I think you have to show the viewer you know what you're talking about and you're comfortable in front of the camera and you're able to express those points that you've gotten from coaches and players in a very short period of time. Some reporters go on too long because they think they have to. But I'm a true believer after all my experiences in this business, less is more. You give me a couple of great facts about what just went down, and boom, let's go play. And you know what? I'll get back to you. I promise. I mean, I work with analysts and sideline reporters all my career, and the biggest thing is, oh, I wasn't on enough. Well, yeah, the game dictates whether you are or not. And that's one thing I think you have to realize is that your role, if you're going to be sidelines or in the studio, you're going to get a hit in pregame, halftime, and postgame. If you're on the sideline, I'm going to come to you to start the game, probably a second quarter report, halftime, unless there's an injury that you can give me information on
Mhm.
or something that's going down on the sideline. You may make 6 hits during a game. But those hits have to be rememberable. And I think that's the one thing that a lot of analysts and also sideline reporters forget that it isn't about you, it's about the group, teamwork, and you work as a team. And I think those who are truly successful understand that concept, Gracie. I really do. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the game. And some nights I may come to you 10 times. Another night, I may only see a 4, but you can't take that as a bad thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today. That was really helpful and a lot of good information that I know I'll take to use and our viewers will as well.
Good. Is that it? That's all you got? You want to throw anything else at me? Surprise me with a question. Surprise me.
How important do you think networking is and meeting people?
Ooh, well, look at you and me. Didn't know you 5 days ago, but you know what I love about what you did? And I love this about any individual who says, I'm going to reach out and let's talk. Now, you got to find people who may say yes or no, but I like helping young broadcasters and just having a chat because what I've been through is crazy, but I like to share it because I think it helps build, the building blocks for you. And that's an important thing for anybody who's listening is look, it's not easy. I could be bumped out anytime. And I've thought about that for 40 years, but I have a 40-year broadcast career. And thankfully, I survived 25 at the network. I mean, it's an amazing place, and you have to have your feet on the ground. I think you have to be real with yourself, that you will make mistakes, but it's how you bounce back and from that. Um, I love what I do, and I think I can tell in the short time you and I have talked, you know, you're building the passion and you're building your foundation. I love it. You got a lot more bricks to put into that foundation, but each one you do, you get better, you get more confident, and you find new ways to improve yourself. And by what I mean by that is by networking. Pull cables on an ESPN game, right? Be on the sideline, introduce yourself in the truck. If you get a chance to jump on a broadcast, and now, no matter how small, Gracie, it is, you're still there. It's still on your resume. You still may meet a producer or director that may remember you 2 years from now or 3 years from now when you're getting to graduate or you want a summer internship at ESPN. And you know what? They'll say, hey, I remember her at North Carolina. And that's where you really build your blocks of relationships and you go back and, you know, say hello on occasion. You never leave those relationships. I got a book of people that I've met. I've dealt with 60 analysts in my career, Hall of Famers, guys that didn't work out, but I still stay in touch with a lot of them because first you make friendships, but also it's good to trade, it's good to trade off on different ideas that you may have, what's hot in the business, what's not. Um, always keep track of what networks, have what rights. I mean, NBC is going back into the NBA. TNT is out,
Mhm.
which is hard to believe. They're going Amazon and also ABC, ESPN. So for me, I got to keep connected with people I know at ABC, people I know at ESPN, and people I know. I don't know anybody at Amazon, by the way, because that's the new streaming service. So I got to do my work myself. But when you're at games, do you have a business card?
I do not.
Get one.
Okay.
Simple. Go down to and have them print you 100 of them or
Okay.
200, and just name, phone number, email address, and just something that will catch their eye about, crazy about sports or looking for work, or how about we connect, something like that. And then you hand those to people and they have some information that you got, and maybe trade a business card. I know people say, "Oh, give me your phone number," but you know what? It's something new. Just think about it. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. But I think if you hand someone something like that, it personalizes you with them. And I think we've lost touch as a species about connecting. We do everything by damn phone or by text. But you know what? The personalization of you to an individual goes a long way. This conversation goes a long way for me. Okay. I'm old school, but I still think people like to talk face to face. I like to see your expression. I like to
I agree.
hear your questions. And I just think it's something to think about. You know, one on one is better than just a text with no face to it or no personality to the text. I can read the text and say, I don't know what that meant, but I can sure read this conversation. And if you hand someone your number, your business card, I think that stands out above others.
Well, thank you so much. That was very helpful.
You bet.
And that's all we have for today. So thank you for everyone listening.